Hello everyone and welcome to Gaming FTL. My name is Josh and I am here with Paul from Space Bears. He's showing off his iOS game Kingdoms. How's the show been for you today?
Great so far. So we are here for 4 days and it's the first one. It's not as quiet as I thought it would be. So we already have most of our badges and stickers gone. And
Oh no, I want some.
there are some in the back, the backpack. So that's okay for you. But yeah, I guess for Saturday it's gone. It's too bad. But
It's just a shame. So Kingdoms is a kind of very minimalistic strategy game. Run us through the very basic mechanics of it.
So the very basic mechanics are it's a two-player abstract board game. So you have to capture your opponent's king, as in chess, for example. And you have two ways, two features in the game. You can place tiles on the board, and you can fortify existing tiles. And so when you play, you have two moves, two goes per turn at the beginning, and when you start like fighting for tiles with your opponent, you can get bonus moves. So the better you play, the more moves you can get, and it accelerates, and it's it's more fast-paced experience than chess or Go. So it's slightly different take on the abstract board game.
Yeah,
genre.
so what drove you to make such a simple strategy game? Because obviously a lot of people can go the entirely opposite way with like Europa Universalis, like millions of factions and stuff.
So it's the reason is I wanted to. It's a design exercise. At the very beginning, 3 years ago, I wanted to design a very simple game with interesting rules and depth, but with like the most basic rules you could get. And it has been 3 years now, and I'm struggling to finish the game. So now I think the gameplay is working really fine. Like we have the gameplay in a great place, and we finished the AI, and we can test it now with an AI, so we can prove that it works really well. But for 3 years I had to fix like very complex gameplay issues with as few rules as possible, so it's been quite a challenge. But the reason was just to like prove to myself that I could design an interesting game with as few rules as possible. Like you said, the opposite of what you can usually do in video games, because you have this computer power and you can just throw rules at your system. And yeah, I wanted to keep it very simple.
Cool. So, what sort of challenges did you face with such a simple rule set?
So the first one was that, as I said, you have two moves per turn. But based on the configuration of the game, the way the board is, and like you can play adjacent tiles, but not in diagonals, you always ended up playing the same tiles as your opponent, like back and forth, and it created a stalemate situation too often. One of the other issues was that fortifications allowed you to just block one side of the board. If you would like take 5 tiles in a column and fortify them in the same way, you just block the board. So it wasn't really interesting. But we fixed that with the small tweaks. Like on the board, you have now 3 tiles at the center that you cannot fortify. So that fixes that problem. And for the stalemate situation, we implemented a rule like a bit like Go, where you cannot play the same tiles as your opponent at the exact same move. Actually you can, but if you do that you give them a bonus move, so that's risky. If you're really like in danger and you have to take the tiles back, you can, but it gives a bonus move to your opponent. So
Yeah. And for a game that's primarily supposed to be 2-player, how did creating an AI change how you played the game?
I didn't create the AI technically, but it changes a lot how we play, because the AI is much more defensive than us, at least the players I played the game against. So now I have to rethink my strategies when I play against it. I have to push it to attack me, because it's staying put and fortifying everywhere it can before getting bonus moves from me. So we saw a different face from like the usual players we meet in conventions like that, where you're like more beginner and you are more aggressively playing. So yeah.
I definitely saw with the ability to take so many tiles, you often take the opportunity to get rid of an enemy's area of of influence very quickly, especially when I started playing the game. I think at Feral Vector, it was very fast-paced versus another person. You don't even think about fortifying. Where did the fortification come from? Because obviously it could just be take a tile and leave it at that.
So my idea for the game was to have 2 moves per turn to give it a slightly different take on the board games where you just play 1 move, or like in chess, for example. But with that, I thought, like, if you have 2 moves, would it be interesting to have the choice of playing offensively or defensively and combine whatever you want? So you can play 2 fortifications or 2 tiles or one of both at the same time. And so I like fortifications because I'm creating a board game that I call a medieval board game from the 21st century. I said, okay, what's fitting with the defensive move and fits the medieval theme, and like ramparts and fortifications came like very quickly, so that's where it came from.
Awesome. And the very minimalistic art, where did that idea come from? Or did it just come naturally with the like minimalistic gameplay as well?
So it came naturally with my inability to draw more complex shapes, and also because I work a lot on iOS and Android apps, and it's been a trend for the past few years to really get it more simple and more abstract. And also because, as I said, abstract games are a very big influence, and you don't put a theme. So in chess, the medieval theme is really like something that you could remove. It's a layer of context that you don't really need because it's a system based on patterns.
Yeah.
And on my game, I wanted to, like in chess, give some like universe, some theme, but to keep it really simple. So that's why you have like flat colors and like these simple fortifications and crowns, but nothing more, nothing like animated, and yeah, just to fit the rules of the abstract strategy genre. It's written in like, you don't have to, you shouldn't put a theme or a strong context.
Yeah. So are there any specific games that you take like your influences from?
Go, obviously,
Yeah.
chess, and letterpress for the visuals and the interface. So letterpress is an abstract strategy game for iOS, which was released 2 years ago. And it's a strategy game where you capture the tiles on the board by making words. So I'm not sure if you played it, but you have letters on the board of 5 by 5, just as our game. And you select tiles to create words. And when you create the bigger words you create, the more territory you keep, and that's a strong influence for us as far as like visual design and rules also.
Awesome. And do you feel that there's any fundamental difference between old board games like Go and chess and modern video games?
I do, and that's part of the reason I wanted to do a board game, even if it ended up being a digital board game. But because at first I wanted to do a physical board game. The reason being, you don't have systems to like hide complexity or flaws in your gameplay. So players, they operate the system, right? So when they play Monopoly or chess, and if there is something wrong in the rules, like a blocking situation, they have to find a way to sort it out, or they just like leave the game because they cannot figure it out. So I wanted to design kind of a perfect gameplay, if I can say that. And that's something that you don't really have to do when you do a video game. Like, you can help players with auto aim in FPS, for example, you know.
Yeah.
So they don't really have to shoot the people like precisely. The computer helps them, this kind of stuff, or tutorials and stuff like that. So when you just like open a box and you have the game and you have to figure out how it plays, if it's flawed, it's not good. So I wanted to try to achieve that.
Awesome. Well, thanks for talking to me. Any details about when it's coming out, what platforms and things like that?
We've already missed the release date, so I'm not going to give any date, but hopefully it's very soon, because we just have to finish Game Center integration to play asynchronously against your friends. so it shouldn't take long, and we should release it like maybe next month or as soon as possible.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you everyone for watching. Check out this game in the links in the description, and stay tuned to Gaming FTL for more Eurogamer coverage. Goodbye.